Good morning, Nicole. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, great.
Awesome. I just need to get uh, the video. Oh, you haven't done the video yet.
Oh, do I got to do that? Okay, but maybe if I make you a co-host. Now can you do your video? There you are.
There. Let me see. Okay. I usually don't like doing the video, but in this case, we're going to make an exception.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So we're a little early, but I'm happy we're all set up.
That's right.
And if I mute on the bottom left-hand side is the mute, and then I'm muted, correct?
Right, and then you can make all the noise you want.
Got it. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's almost afternoon, I guess. Stuart, can you test your microphone for me?
Good morning.
Good morning. Jake, can you test your microphone for me? Jake, can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Oh, good. Good. Can you hear me, Jake?
Doing well.
I guess he can't hear me.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
Hi, we have Mary. Are you the host?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but it says that my video's been disabled by you.
I made you a co-host. There's a lag in Zoom today. It's kind of slow. So let me try it again. Not sure why it's doing. Liz is not showing up either.
Cannot start video, cannot start video.
Are you able to do it now?
Let's try this one.
There you are.
Okay, well, that's my backup camera. That's the 1 megapixel. I was trying to use my other one here. Let's see. Nope, not working. There we go. How's that?
There you go. That looks great.
There we go. He's here. right, Michael, you can hear me, right?
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Doing great. Enjoying driving in the rain in Alabama.
Oh, Laura's looking tough, man. Laura, but maybe it's going to miss you in Alabama. Looks like it's going a little further west this morning.
Yeah, but then it comes back in a couple of days, remember? And it was to have
Oh,
tropical force winds.
wow. Well, this is crazy times. That's all I can say right now. It
Yeah,
is.
I mean, we've got properties in like Longview, Texas, and that's next door to Shreveport. They're saying hurricane force winds there. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Yeah, so trying to get all the loose equipment, everything outside of the apartments into some rooms or units and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I'm seeing, I've never seen this before. My contacts are all in Zoom. It must have been an upgrade. I don't know
Yeah,
where
they
this
did
all.
upgrade. It was like yesterday or the day before they did upgrades.
Meetings, chat. Oh, now we get a separate chat box. Okay.
Cool.
Cool. These are new toys to play with.
All right.
Have the other people that I see here, Joe, Lorraine, Mary Kay, Michael, and Samara, have they been let in, or they're waiting out in the waiting room? Does anybody know?
You guys are in a webinar, not a regular meeting. So you won't see you are the participants, you won't see the guests.
Okay. But can they hear us talking?
Yes.
Okay.
They can see you, they can hear you talking.
Mary, is the plan just to go through the agenda that you sent out? Was, say again?
Yes.
Okay, so Terry will do any announcements or anything as far as what the chapter is doing this next month or two, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anybody want to sing?
Go right ahead, Keith.
Row, row, row your boat.
No, Keith, you don't want me singing. No way. Sorry.
Hey there. Sorry, I've been on the phone.
Good morning, Liz.
Hi. Hey, Michael, how do I get those things to you? Do you want me to just mail them?
If you don't mind, just put in an envelope and send them to my house or my office. That'd be great. And then I will send them on to Danny and get them. That's awesome.
Okay.
Or if
You need to text me because I don't have either one of those addresses.
okay, we'll do. Or actually, you know what? I'll give you Danny's address. You just put them in the mail right to him.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
That'll be awesome. Thank you so much.
Both of
I
them? You
appreciate it.
didn't want one?
I'd rather Danny to have them, and I'll get some new ones in the future. Mine's looking a little ragged these days, but it'll hang on there for a little bit longer.
Okay. All righty then. Done.
You're the best. One phone call. Oh.
Yes, you need to remember that. Keith, are you doing this from your car?
I'm doing it from my truck.
Oh, oh. Wow. Where are you
Heading
going?
to North Alabama, going to Huntsville right now.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's raining very
What's
hard.
in Huntsville?
Oh my goodness. Well, we have a space and rocket center up here. We have NASA. We got FBI moving here. We got Toyota, Mazda, several other big companies up here. There's a lot of stuff happening in North Alabama.
Yeah, but why are you
Right
going there?
I've got an office up there as well. And
Oh, okay.
brokers who might want to come on board. Got to go talk to them. Right now, I'm busy. What do you call that word? Hydroplaning? This is fun. Okay.
Oh gosh, be careful. Is it
Yeah,
raining?
I'm fun. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I'm gonna change my background.
Change it to a hurricane.
West Coast District.
You know, my clocks up here are past 11. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yep. Mary, do we have Terry on the call to get us started?
He's getting on right now.
Okay.
Give him a minute.
For those of you that are joining us, this is the webinar that we are hosting today about COVID. My name is Michael Hinton. You'll see all the panelists here. Our president, Terry Torres, is going to join us in just a moment and start the introduction. So we appreciate your patience. We'll be starting in just a moment.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, hold on just a
Yes,
second.
Terry.
Okay.
Go ahead, Terry, as the president of the Florida chapter. Welcome, and go ahead and get started.
Welcome. It looks like we don't have everybody on board, Michael. I'm seeing just 5 people on board. Is that correct? Or
We're waiting on Greg Scotty.
Greg? Okay.
He's trying to get on as well. Zoom is having a lag this morning. It did some updates yesterday and it seems to have slowed down the system because I'm not seeing that Terry's on as an attendee right now.
Yeah. So having a little trouble hearing you, but I have no video because it's not enabled, and I'm not able to enable it. But no big deal. We don't need the video on my end. But first of all, I want to welcome all our district presidents, and I want to say that that we somehow, good morning, how are you, Jake? Glad to see you on board. I want to say that somehow we missed the boat on leadership training, and I'm talking about Institute leadership training. And Adam actually led our group, which was Region 8, which includes Puerto Rico.
Oh, we lost you, Terry. Oh,
There we go.
all right, Terry, you're back. Start over, please. Thanks.
Okay, what I started to say is that somehow we missed a communication, and we had Institute leadership training for all the chapters, and it was a virtual session. It was a Zoom meeting, and it was led for Region 8, which includes Puerto Rico and the Florida chapter, by Adam Palmer, our past president. And there were only 5 of us on board, but that invitation should have gone out to all the district presidents, and somehow either it was missed or missed by the Institute, perhaps missed by the chapter. So we are going to hold that leadership training, and I will preside over it. Hopefully Adam can be on board, but if he can't, we're going to do it anyway. And here's what it is. I think it's very important. I had a discussion with some of our leadership yesterday, and it's a great chance for our district presidents to get acquainted with our leadership, and not just our leadership at the chapter level, but some of the people that are aspiring leaders at the Institute level. And I think Adam, he's a J.W. Levine graduate. He serves on many committees at the Institute level. He will preside over a committee next year. He actually led the Institute leadership training for Region 8. And I have a feeling Adam will be a future Institute president. So it's a wonderful time for district leaders to get acquainted with higher leadership at the chapter level, at the Institute level. And it's not uncommon for the state of Florida to have individuals that are named to lead the Institute. We've had quite a few Institute presidents that come from the state of Florida. So we will attempt to do that, and hopefully we'll be able to get that done in the next week. And hopefully all you district presidents will be on board. I can't say how important it is that we have this communication, and I'm so pleased to have this session with all of you today. I see 63 are on board. So I want to go through quickly and just introduce our district presidents. And we have Michael Hinton from the Miami district. I was pleased to see Michael at our pinning ceremony on Friday. We welcomed 13 new designees to CCIM, to Florida chapter. So that was very exciting. Michael was there. We have Stuart. Is Stuart on board today?
Yes, so I'm actually the measly secretary, but
Yeah, okay.
good to be here.
Stuart, welcome, and so glad to have you from the Southwest District. Nicole, are you here with us?
I'm here. Yes. Good morning. Or good
Okay.
afternoon.
Good morning. Oh, there you are. Okay. Hi, Nicole. So Nicole represents Broward District. Keith Andrew representing Panhandle District. Keith, say hello to everybody. Keith, unmute and say hello, please. All right, we'll come back to Keith. And we have Liz Menendez from West Coast District. Liz was also there at the pinning ceremony. Thank you so much, Liz, for attending and being a part of that ceremony this past Friday. Jake, are you
Absolutely.
on board?
Yes.
Yeah. So Jake, welcome. Jake represents the North District. And last but certainly not least, Greg, are you here? So Greg represents East Coast District. I don't see him on board, but hopefully he'll be able to join the conversation. And Keith, I just wanted to give you a chance to say hello. I don't know if you're unmuted, but I can see that you're driving in your car.
Yeah, I had to stop for a moment. It got too wet and too rainy and crazy, so I'm just going to sit here on the side at a pilot truck stop and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, great. That's a safe move. And so I want to go ahead, and the agenda calls for each of you to speak 5 minutes about 3 things that you did different once the pandemic hit us, and particularly beginning in March when we had the shutdown. So that the possible questions, and you don't have to stick strictly to this agenda. We just want to hear from you and what you and your districts did following the pandemic. But what did you learn in the last 3 months? And what would you do differently if you had a do-over, if you could do it over? I know hindsight's 20/20. Sometimes we do a lot of things differently. What kind of CCIM training did you use from your toolbox to overcome some of these obstacles that we had at the pandemic? So without further ado, I'm going to just start at the top of this list and turn it over to Michael Hinton from the Miami District. Michael, it's all yours.
Thank you, Terry. I am by no means an expert, but I did learn a heck of a lot the last several months going through this COVID like you all did. The three things that I put together, some notes to talk about today. Some of this obviously I came up with some of it, and I'm very fortunate to have a great team in my office at Apex Capital Realty. And we stuck to our normal Monday morning 10 a.m. meetings. Even when things were a little tough, we jumped on Zoom calls and we were using Google Hangout. But we stuck to the Real Estate 101, which is we had our sales meetings. And even though the phone wasn't ringing a whole lot, we still got together and did some collaboration. So some of these ideas come from them as well. The first one that we talked about, and I want to bring up, is diversification. We obviously, at the end of March and April, when the phone stopped ringing for a few weeks, and as we all know in this business, if the phone's not ringing 90 days from now, we're going to have some cash flow problems and things like that. So we started looking at diversifying and looking at plans B, plan C, plans D. I made some calls into the automotive industry because that seemed to be something that wasn't really being affected by COVID. Calls to pharmaceutical companies. Again, people are still out there and they still need medications and they still need medical treatment. So one of the areas that we focused on in our office was diversification and looking at different plans B and C. The second thing I'll mention is we all pulled out our business plans on June 1st, and we revised some of our business plans because we were looking at plans B, C, and D, and things that we thought we were going to do at the beginning of the year. We weren't able to do them. So we were able to revise, revisit some of them, and replan. So, the door knocking, we're not able to do that, but reaching out to clients and being very sensitive to what's going on in the world, just being very cognizant of the pain that businesses were feeling and being able to address some of them and offer them some solutions. And the third thing that I really believe in, and I've always believed in this, is just embracing technology. These Zoom calls and Google Hangouts, and really just not being afraid to embrace technology because it's here to stay. And I think I went out and I bought a new video camera with a click, and I picked it up with curbside delivery. I think it was the first week of April. So not being afraid of these new technologies, being able to text and video call, that's just very, very important. And I took a little time in the downtime to explore some of these CRMs and some of these other technology things in months of April and May, looking at some different technology things. And I actually lost my personal assistant. So I went out and I found a virtual assistant, and I'm exploring those things with, her name is Megan. And so she's my new virtual assistant. I've only been working with her for about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's a little bit 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards to get her trained and acclimated to me. But I think it's going to help me even get more organized, is transitioning from a regular assistant, because she got hired by my office. My broker hired my assistant away from me. So I'm glad for her, and I'm glad she's still working in the office, but I needed to replace her and find a new virtual assistant. So those are the things that the things that we looked at down here: diversification, we were revisiting the business plan, and embracing technology. So those are the 3 things that I was working on during this change in business. So Terry, or I guess Stuart, I guess you're the next one on the list.
Yeah, so Michael, thank you so much. And hey, you made the time limit too. I actually have a little timer going on here, but let's go ahead and turn this thing over to Stuart Tackett. Stuart, you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. I probably won't take 5 minutes, but good afternoon, everyone. I think like Michael touched on, I was very sensitive to which clients I thought were struggling, and realizing that some just plain weren't working, and just really trying to be sensitive there. You know, I'm not gonna be aggressive when somebody's in a bind, obviously. And so, you know, some people I think it was okay to reach out to, but again, not be aggressive and just kind of see where everyone was, how they're doing, etc. So that was quite a change. Second thing is who knows what's going to happen with retail. So if I had investors who are interested in retail, I've been kind of having them shift, maybe looking at some of the other asset types, such as industrial here is always going to be a great investment. It's a resort town, and they're not going to come out with, they're not going to rezone a bunch of properties into industrial. So I think that's just trying to advise them there. You know, when somebody says they're used to retail, they hear industrial, that doesn't always sound appealing. So just kind of sitting down with them, not sitting down with them virtually, and just kind of explaining why it's a good investment. And I think people have listened. And multifamily also is strong here, just because of the shortage of it. And the third thing is that I do business brokerage also, and that's been really tough. I might actually have a restaurant sale this week, which I'm shocked. But some of these businesses where I thought I had buyers and people backed away because they were scared of COVID have actually done quite well. So it's what's been different with me is I've been really having to stay on top of where they are financially, these small businesses. And the ones that are striving, I'm going back to these people who pulled out and showing them, look, they're fine, they're doing well, you know. So it's been a challenge. I've lost a couple sales certainly with the business brokerage, but that's about it. Thank you for the time.
Well, thank you, and thank you for sharing that. And I have to say to you, you know, restaurants have been hard hit. So you know, you're preaching to the choir here. I have a client who's a shopping center guy, restaurant guy, commercial property guy in New York and Florida. But for some reason, he likes to operate restaurants. He's got a pizza place in our neck of the woods and wanted to expand because they seem to do well during this pandemic because of their takeout business. And we were looking to acquire an old Burger King site, Stuart, and that was on the market, actively on the market, and actually got them to agree in principle verbally. And at the 11th hour, a couple of the partners changed their mind and decided they didn't want to sell. They just wanted to lease. It was a great location, and the whole deal fell through the cracks. So restaurants are just going to be a tough business during the pandemic. Some are thriving. There are some you know, quick service QSRs, I guess, quick service restaurants that are thriving in the pandemic because of their ability to put out fast food or good food for takeout. And a lot of us are taking out. I know we did last night. So thank you for sharing that story. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next person. And so next up is going to be Nicole. We'd love to hear from you. What's going on in Broward?
Good afternoon. So good to be here. So yeah, about a year ago, I had the privilege of going in-house with a local retail developer, City Construction and Development. So it's a smaller family office, if you will. Our portfolio is comprised of approximately 350,000 square feet of neighborhood retail centers. So, and I think that's where he ended up on the top of this coronavirus pandemic, because we had very minimal impact. So when it did happen, we immediately reached out to all of our tenants. We were very proactive and negotiated rent deferral agreements with nearly all of them. Some of them didn't need it, as Michael mentioned, automotive. So our portfolio is comprised of a lot of automotive tenants. and then regular neighborhood strips. So the automotive guys did very well. So some of them didn't even need a rent deferral agreement. They just cruised right on through. Our biggest loss, though, was an 8,000 square foot Japanese buffet. They practically just threw up their hands in March, April and said, there's no way in the world we're going to be able to make it. So several months later, they ended up defaulting. But on the bright side, we actually ended up very quickly backfilling that space with a couple of coronavirus winners, if you will, a bike shop and a flooring company. With both of them say that their sales are better, have increased since last year. So they are doing incredibly strong. And so that 8,000 square foot Japanese buffet is now going to be occupied by those two tenants by November. So we had very minimal downtime on that. That was pretty amazing that we were able to turn it around and reposition that so quickly. There will certainly be, in my opinion, obviously winners and losers in this crisis, but essential retailers and internet resistant tenants meeting daily consumer needs at the end of the day still is going to be a very sought after category. And I think that's why our portfolio did pretty well. The grocery stores, home improvements, liquor store. We actually had a liquor store in one of our centers that said that his sales was better than the holidays at the height of Corona, that their sales went through the roof. And we actually had another tenant that owns a marina in Seattle. And he also says that the boat sales and his business has grown tremendously through this whole process. So I think that there's going to be a lot of obviously repositioning and repurposing of some challenged tenants, but I think it'll be interesting to see how the retail industry adapts, and the challenge will be sorting out the short-term and the long-term impacts of the pandemic and how consumers behave and the business strategies going forward. But I do definitely feel that there is some strong pent-up demand, and consumers are ready to return to the experiential retail, hoping that once things completely open back up again, maybe towards the end of the year, fingers crossed, beginning of the year, that retail will come back with a vengeance. It may look a little different, but I think, we all like to be out and social and enjoy, eating out. And so it's a temporary, I certainly don't think that retail is dead. I may be ultra positive, but I don't. So that's about it.
Nicole, great report. And I'm curious because you do manage a lot of these shopping center type clients and particularly in these neighborhood type centers. Are you seeing any COVID clauses in your leases where people have an out, so to speak, because of the COVID
Yes.
pandemic?
We've done a couple. Well, the two new tenants, the bike shop and the flooring company. I think the bike shop put COVID language, the flooring company didn't. But yeah, we've done a few, not a lot. But a few. And it just basically states that, if there is another government mandated shutdown, that, rent is deferred. It's not faded, but deferred and pushed down further down to the end of the lease or at a later time.
That was my timer, but I'm the one that had you go on. But I love what you said about some of the industries that are thriving. I'm a bicycle rider, so the bicycle thing, the home improvement thing with the flooring company, liquors will all become alcoholics if this thing goes on much longer. And boating, I can't believe how many we live in a bulkhead waterfront property. I can't believe how many people are using their boats nowadays. You never used to see all those boats on the river, and now all of a sudden everybody's boating. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. There are businesses that are thriving and there are businesses that are barely surviving. So thanks for a great report, Nicole, and we'll go ahead and move on. to Keith now. And Keith, hopefully you're in a safe spot and the rains may be abating, but it's all yours, Keith.
All right, thanks. So I'm the treasurer in the Panhandle District. Excuse me. David Monroe's the current president right now in that district, and he could not make it on Tuesday today. So we are in Central Time, most of the Panhandle District Central Time, for those of you who don't get out of Southern Florida or wherever. So I want to let you know, sorry, in our world, I've got a couple of offices up here in Alabama myself, and I've got a team. And like Michael said, the technology, we were doing audio conference calls every other week, trying to keep people connected until the pandemic hit. The weekend before the pandemic hit, fortunately, I was changing my offices from one space to a bigger space in the same building. And then on Tuesday, it all hits and Zoom pops up. Never even heard of Zoom until the pandemic. That's pretty good stuff, Michael. So we started doing our calls on Zoom, just our team, start seeing each other, because I came to the office every day. There's no way I'm staying at home, because there's not room for myself and my wife to be in the same place when she had to come home, because she was with a big bank and they forced her home to work. So I kept going to the office. And the Zoom, I got to tell you, that Zoom, you can get worn out by all the seminars that Florida CCIM wants to do on Zoom, and ARIA and CCIM itself and any of your associations. It wears you down. But I tell you what, when you're talking to your teams or you're talking to people you're doing business with, it works fantastic. As a matter of fact, reach out to your clients on Zoom. Just say, hey, click this link, join me, let's talk. Works out great, especially when you handle a big area like an entire state or something. That's the first thing. Second thing, moved into the bigger office space, and I started back up to my monthly happy hour. We got to have fun. Last Wednesday of every month, happy hour at my offices. And I invite everybody, anybody I can think of in CRE, any of our clients, anybody. Some people show up with masks. It's not heavily attended right now, but they're getting out there. They're realizing that they've either been sick and gotten over it, or they're not going to get sick or whatever, but they're starting to show up. And we have liquid and solid refreshments. And it works out great. Now, you can talk business. You can meet each other and do, start building up other relationships, but that's what we do. I don't know about the rest of the Panhandle, but that's what we do.
Keith, thank you. And that was a great report. And yeah, I think we're all zoomed out a little bit. I actually had a Zoom baby shower, so it's not just the businesses that are Zooming, everybody's Zooming nowadays. And in a way, it's brought us closer together. We wouldn't be meeting like we're meeting here today if it weren't for Zoom. We wouldn't have this opportunity probably. So it's been a blessing, and maybe to a little bit of an extent, maybe a little bit of a curse. I know that we're getting worn out by the Zoom meetings, but how about Hurricane Laura? Is that any concern for Alabama?
Yeah, Terry, I want to tell you, it's gonna go up and bend on over after it goes through Arkansas and part of Missouri. Then it come over to at least the top half of Birmingham. So we might still have heavy winds according to the Weather Channel. But I wanted to say one more thing for everybody on the call. If you have not done this yet, you should go do this. You might be surprised. Check out your year-to-date sales. Take it through July, or now you can take it through August if you want to. I did that 3 different times in July to see where we were. And with the same people, and we've been recruiting people this year too, with the same people in place from last year, we're up 244% in sales.
Wonderful.
The pandemic didn't slow it down.
That's wonderful. And I think that's true of a lot of our business. At least I hope it's true of a lot of our businesses. Maybe it's a shift from stocks and bonds into real estate, because some people feel that there's a bubble there. And I don't know what it is, but yeah, hopefully all of you are having a type of success that Keith's having, that my company's having, and seeing deals and doing transactions. So thanks so much, Keith, for sharing. And we'll go ahead and move on here to Liz. And Liz, thank you for being at the pinning ceremony. We really appreciate all our leaders that could attend. Somebody was asking me who was there, and I was trying to recall all 22 of us, but I remember you were there. Go ahead, tell us what's going on in your world.
And to announce, the West Coast District had two of our members that sat for the exam, and they both passed, and they were the only two women that passed the exam as well. So congratulations, Sarah Wright and Amy McDougall, new West Coast District members and new designees. But anyway, I'm Liz Menendez. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, and I have to tell you my experience. A week before COVID actually went into full force, I had a client that asked me to do broker's opinion of value on 21 of his commercial properties. So I immediately bought a monitor and set up shop on my 10-foot dining room. And this became my new office. And it is still, I'm gonna have a hard time going back to my office into a little cube again because I have everything spread out. But with my new monitor coming into place, I just embraced technology. As far as my work was concerned, stayed in touch with my clients, reached out to everyone to make sure everyone was okay, see if they needed anything. And then it just became a matter of focusing on doing my BOVs in evenings, focusing on CCIM in the West Coast District during the day. And I am proud to say that I have some amazing people on board. I have an absolutely phenomenal executive board of directors, and between them and our administrative assistant, Cindy Patika, we pulled it together and we came up with amazing education webinars. We've done everything on Zoom, from a scavenger hunt to happy hours to board meetings. We're getting ready to have a huge event next month on Zoom, dealing with 3 of the local appraisers from Hillsborough and Pinellas and Pasco counties. Hopefully you can join us on that. Let's see, what else have we done? You know, in seeing what was going around me and talking with my clients, I got my ideas for education webinars from my conversations that I had with them, and realized that I have to be flexible. I have to be creative in keeping my members engaged for the West Coast District, with also keeping my sponsors engaged, making sure that they're recognized in every webinar that we did. Oh, the other thing we've been doing on Zoom consistently as well is pitch sessions. I've given my sponsors the opportunity to be recognized on that as well. So it's a matter of being flexible and being proactive. And what I thought where there was a need, I just put that into, okay, what kind of an education webinar can I do that I know that it is information important to me, it's going to be important to everyone else as well. As far as personally with my business, I'm having the best year I've had in the past 4 years. I have been consistently busy. I got all of my BOVs done in a month and a half, which was a challenge on its own. But I've probably done easily a half a dozen office leases, and those leases have been everywhere from duplicating in square foot because they needed to have room to socially distance, to downsizing, where I have a gentleman that owns 5 different companies, and he wanted to have one office. He can have all of his CEOs in one spot. They found out that their employees, as far as administrative and accounting and so forth, they're a lot more productive at home. So they're letting them stay home. As far as the individual locations, they're only letting people that actually really, really need to be there come into the office. And then he moved all of his CEOs into one space at the Regions Bank building, the largest building in downtown Tampa. So we searched for properties. We toured properties with our masks on and completed. That was the largest office lease that I've ever done in my career. So that was pretty exciting. But I've had a really productive time. And oh, the other thing that I did that happened right at the beginning of COVID, I'm a graduate of USF. I have a degree in finance, and I'm very active with the Alumni Association. And the new college, the new dean of the College of Business came up with a certification, and I was one of 80,000 people, no, one of 10,000 people in 80 countries that obtained a post-crisis certification. And it was a 7-week course, amazing information, amazing speakers, professors, etc. But it helped me with ideas of what to do with the West Coast District and how to deal with everything that was going on in my life, both personally and with my clients and with my West Coast District members. So it's been an eye-opening experience. It's given me a chance to kind of regress too and see what's important. And I've seen a lot of my friends that, you know, focused on their family, and that I think everybody has kind of taken a big look at their life and kind of realized, you know, family is the most important thing. Yeah, work is great, but that's the biggest thing that I've seen out of all of this. Communication and talking to each other, sharing our experiences, sharing our tales of woe over a cocktail on happy hour, having fun with the scavenger hunt that we did, which I could tell you stories about that, it'll crack you up. But it's made me realize you've got to be flexible, you've got to be able to move with the times, and you have to be proactive. You can't sit back and wait for something to happen. You've got to have a plan A, a B, and a C. Our event that's coming up in September with the property appraisers, we had plan A, which is doing it in person and, you know, having a lot less people attend. Then we had plan B, we're going to do it on Zoom, and now it's countless the number of people that hopefully will get on the event. So my goal is to have 400 plus people in attendance, and that'll help our numbers for the district. And I went over my time, so sorry. I just realized I'm talking too much. I'm Latin, I can talk forever.
The amazing Liz Menendez, everybody. And I want to say congratulations on your new designation, Liz. I never fail to learn something new about you every time we see each other, every time we meet, whether it's virtual or in person. I could say one thing, that the committees are certainly more active because of Zoom, and they can have Zoom meetings, and I'm real pleased about that. And I just wanted to say that you did mention that this work from home for you and for all of us is basically a new trend. It may be a part of our permanent lives going forward because all of us seem to be successful at working from home. But all of you district presidents that are new to the job and maybe new to leadership, Liz, who's our district president this year at the West Coast District, is going to be a chapter leader next year. She will be the vice president of finance. And so we're pleased and delighted to see Liz transition from district president to chapter vice president. She does have a very strong financial background, as you could see, but this is one of the reasons that we want all of you on board, and we appreciate your being here today. And with that, we'll turn it over to Jake. Thanks so much, Liz, for your report. Jake, you're on.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jake Ammon. I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida, representing the North District. Just a little context to who I am is we've got a small boutique firm. There's about 4 of us. We focus on investment sales of the B and C class office and industrial spaces. That's the core of what we do, but we also do the leasing for those investment sales and the property management. So, you know, from the sales perspective, we're getting higher. Currently, right now, we're seeing higher offers and interest than pre-COVID in Jacksonville. We are already experiencing pretty high volume, I would say, overall. But then we're seeing the flood of out of the state interest into Jacksonville. So that's continued to drive. That's been fantastic. And that also then translates to the leasing side. So we actually, during COVID, since we're such a small shop, and Jacksonville actually deemed our service, you know, property management as essential services. You know, we stayed in the office primarily the entire time. We showed properties, most of them were vacant. So then again, low risk, low concerns there. Because we were really just helping businesses relocate. You know, I know there's a couple of sales that we're still going through the tenants had to move out of the building. And so then we found them homes. There's the, I think somebody mentioned, doubling the square footage just because it was an IT company who sets up remote work for everybody. So we ended up signing about 13 leases. Some of them sight unseen even. That was an industrial warehouse, pretty straightforward, and that was with a defense contractor. And then I think the best lease that we had was a 10-year lease for a healthcare tenant in a market that was up in Yulee. I mean, most people, I didn't know where Yulee was when the first time I came here to Jacksonville, but just a lot of growing. We're Jacksonville, Northeast Florida is a very spread out market, and so there's a lot of interest in some of these kind of Fernandina Beach is the kind of the maybe more recognizable name of that. A lot of activity from outside of the state. Pennsylvania, New York. Hey, can I see the space? Can you walk me around via the phone? And so, we attempted to do that and then did some videos. So definitely incorporating some technology there. And then from a property management standpoint, we were very proactive in working with our tenants. I'm proud to say that we really didn't lose any income for our clients when it comes over, that over the course of the next 6 months now, it was 12 months at the time, that we figured out what worked for everybody. A common, the best practice we used was if there's going to be some rent abatement, then we just add, modify the lease term by a month or two, whatever that ask was. And in doing so, that also, that kind of helped weed out who really needed the help, who didn't. So a lot of people were asking for free rent or something. Well, hey, but that's fine. Let's just tack on a month or two at the end. And that kind of helped get us to the, narrow it down to the 4 or 5 out of the, and we have 600,000 square feet that we do in property management through a bunch of different properties. And that helps prioritize, helps, have those real conversations that need to happen. What do you need? And then an alternative was the, basically paying back that missed rent over the next, 6 or 12 months, whatever it was agreed to. And that worked for everybody. We actually had tenants that paid on time in April that had never paid on time the last 3 years. So I don't know if that was the PPP or if there was just a sense of urgency of making sure not to lose their space. And again, so we operate in that B and C class office and industrial space. And that seemed to, I'm glad we're not in the class A world, because I know those companies are not going into the office, or a lot of the class A's are coming down to the B. And so I think we've been able to help marry up those, make it very mutual on the leases. We've signed an 8-year office lease for B class because we went from a 30% occupancy in February to now 95% for an office building. The last kind of comment would be, the thing that we did, what I would do differently is call more owners of the brokers that I know that didn't forward their desk phones to their cell phones. That's meaning, if it's a good chance that if they're not being that proactive in just making sure they can be reached, so then that way we were reaching out to owners, providing values in creative ways, making sure they're aware of CARES Act and the benefits there. I sent out a letter, just real basic, some additional value, and hoping that we get some more calls. We have gotten 400,000 more square feet of landlord rep in the last 60 days. So that's all I've got for the moment. Any other questions? Terry, your mic is off. You're on mute.
Jake, a great report and really inspirational. And I love what you're doing is, for your rent concessions and how you're working with your tenants and keeping them on board and maybe adding a little to the lease at the end, which is really just a tremendous goal for anybody that's in that side of the business. And love to hear how well your business is doing. So thanks for sharing that. And so we just have one more report. And Greg, I love that handsome photo of you. We've got Greg Lascotti from Miami District. Greg, are you able to join us now?
I am, Terry. I'm just trying to figure out how to work the mute. And the picture's up because I'm afraid if I hit one more button on this thing, I'm going to get disconnected. I had a hell of a time logging in and being part. Mary helped a lot. So thank you for that. And first, before I start, thanks to everybody. I mean, y'all have made some really good suggestions and contributions, and you made me think about this from a different perspective that I wasn't previously considering. So It's great to see that everybody's kind of being proactive instead of reactive in a market like this where you've got the knife that continues to fall. I'm going to my report's going to consist of what I've been doing to both not just increase my business, but how I can increase membership and get the word out for our institute. Let me start by the first part, and they both really revolve around one word, and that word is technology. When this really hit home for me, I'll tell you the date. It was Friday, March 13th, and I was supposed to be starting a new position with a private family office, expanding their territory from Boca to Vero, and I was supposed to start on Monday, St. Patty's Day. And the Monday before St. Patty's Day, Tuesday, they called me and they said, hey, we're done. Even though we negotiated your employment agreement, we're going to ice this for 60 days. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to burn time. And by now, everybody was in full lockdown. So I went out and I consumed everything I could on technology. I started my own website without a programmer, and I got everything on my technology platform going to where now what I do is I pull information from 3 sources. I pull the raw data from CoStar, I pull it from Prospect Now, and I pull it from Credify, which is a source that tracks CMBS and bank debt. I then have a spreadsheet that calls and organizes all of that, and I load that back up into my RealNext database. And now with templates, I don't even call people, okay? So I know that we're like a belly-to-belly, face-to-face business. I just send people, I've templated it out to where I send people a market report, a comp study, and a BOV on their asset without them even asking for it. And I tell them, these are the list of services that I do. So if you have something that you want to discuss, here, and I do this in PDF with everything, all active links, so I can bring in outside sources to better inform them. And if you want to set time with me to talk, here's a link to my calendar, and you can get on and you can put a time with me. That's eliminated not just a lot of uncertainty, but a lot of the back and forth that you typically have when you're either trying to call people on the phone, or you send them an email, or you're trying to get in touch with them, and they're on a meeting, they're running late, their Zoom crash, and then the next thing you know, your schedule falls apart. So all of the things that we previously relied on either ourselves or other people for, I'm trying to replace with technology. The other thing that I've done, again through the technology, by using LinkedIn and Zoom, about 3 months ago, and now I'm going to get into the part where I think this will help our membership, because to do it just on courses, remote courses and content at the current pricing, not going to happen. So what I've done instead is I posted a LinkedIn that I formed 2 groups, 2 networking groups. One is for targeting the people throughout South Florida that either want to break into the commercial real estate business, or they have less than 5 to 7 years involvement in the business, and maybe they don't have a platform from which to network with each other. And if you think about it from their perspective, they're coming out of school. They don't know cocktail networkers. They don't know, charity golfing events. There's a lot of stuff they don't know because they haven't been able to participate in it. So I'm kind of trying to meet them on the technology platform that's most familiar with them, instead of expecting them to meet me on a platform that's comfortable to me. So within a 30-day period, I had over 100 inquiries for people that not just that fit those 2 criteria or 3 criteria of 1, wanting to get in the business, 2, having less than 5 to 7 years, or 3, being local to the South Florida market. I started getting requests not only from people outside of Florida in my immediate market, but I also got requests from other people that wanted to serve as mentors to the young people that were coming in. So when you've got all those cross lines in the water, the networking potential is exponential. And many of them have asked me about the benefit in pursuing the CCIM designation. And now I'm coming from a position of strength and leverage where they're seeing how that skill set and the networking pays off in conjunction with the education that the curriculum offers. The second group that I started was one that's more seasoned where you have to have at least 25 years of experience, but one from every discipline. We got a real estate lawyer, we've got a banker, we've got an architect, we've got a contractor, we have a broker, and we meet every Monday, again, via Zoom, 9 o'clock for 1 hour. And we refer each other business, but we also talk about a lot of the things that are happening in the marketplace, and not just how technology is changing what we're doing and COVID and everything else, but how can we best adapt to not only help our businesses survive, but to help the others that are in the group. So if you haven't really explored those options as using the technology as a tool and trying to leverage everything you can about your day, what you typically do throughout a given day, and say, what can I use to replace this? I've even tried outsourcing to TaskRabbit and Upwork and Freelancer, my cold call list. Hey, you received information from Greg Lascotti about 2 weeks ago. I'm calling on his behalf to set a time to talk with you. Those emails and those calls can go out while I'm sleeping, so that when people wake up in the morning, that voicemail or that inbox is in there. It's already in there, ready for them to address. And I think that's kind of where we're really going with this. There's a paradigm shift happening in the old school way of doing business to this new world technology platform. And if you're not on that train, you're going to get left at the station. So that's pretty much all I have.
Greg, great report. And I've got to say, Greg's a real technologically accomplished individual, one of several that we have in the East Coast District. I've learned a lot from Greg. I continue to learn from Greg. I consider him a rising star. It's hard to teach an old dog like me new tricks, and sometimes we could teach old tricks to new dogs like Greg. But
well, Terry,
I sure have learned a lot,
words.
Greg, and thanks for sharing. And I really appreciated my relationship, and I look forward to you continuing in leadership at CCIM Florida Chapter, Greg.
I plan to do that and more. I want to thank you for the kind words, and I want to thank you for everything that you bring to the group. You're doing an outstanding, fantastic job. Thrilled and honored to be a part of it, as I am being colleagues with everybody on the call. So thank you for the opportunity and letting me participate today. I appreciate it.
So Greg, some comments that I see in the chat. This guy is good, talking about you. Amen, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed your presentations. That goes out to all of you. So read those chats, because there's some really, really good comments. Somebody asked a question, and it's a great question, and it had to do with dealing with permitting, and anybody feel free to chime in. We do a lot of development deals, and I have one going on right now. And a lot of the deals we do are with national credit tenants on everything from Dollar Generals and CVS's and Cumberland Farms and the O'Reillys and Burger Kings, things like that. And typically those deals are strung out over a longer period of time than maybe some of the cleaner type deals. So longer due diligence periods, maybe contingent upon corporate approvals. And basically they want to stretch it out because it takes a while to get those permitting. And that's no fault of these accomplished developers, because most of the people we work with have done this over and over again. They're people that we have a relationship with, but primarily the fault of the permitting agencies, the counties and the municipalities, and all the hoops that they make you jump through. So one of our panelists was asking about this. Does anyone want to share some experiences about development deals?
I'm working on a couple of deals, and I'm not noticing much hiccups, at least in Miami-Dade, as far as permitting. Most of the inspectors, they've already been given laptops, and they're still driving around checking on properties. So, I mean, we had a little bit of a hiccup in April with some construction sites being shut down for a few weeks. But, you know, other than 3 or 4 weeks slowdown, I think they're back full speed, and I'm hearing good things about construction projects moving forward and permits. In fact, Miami-Dade County and the Miami-Dade mayor they have both, and several other municipalities have said to restaurants, go ahead and take parking spaces, put picnic tables outside of your restaurants. We're not going to bother you about that right now, you can put up banners, you can put up temporary signs. So they're even waiving some of those things that used to be a little bit of a headache for companies. And they're like, if it's going to help you stay afloat and get through some of these business rough times, go ahead and take the parking spaces and, you know, put some picnic tables outside for restaurants. I don't know about the rest of the state, but I know Miami-Dade, we're not allowed to eat inside a restaurant right now. It's only exterior dining or takeout. So, you know, the permitting and the zoning and the compliance people have been pretty adaptive down here in Miami. And I'm sure probably that's the way it is around the rest of the state.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And the rest of this question was the comment that several of the deals are reliant on permitting and getting all permitting in place before they close. That's not an uncommon clause in some of these deals where you're working particularly with people that are building a brand new project for, and particularly some of these credit tenants. They'd like to get most of their permitting in place before they close. We like to, as much as we can, as brokers and as communicators between buyers and sellers, tighten up the time frames as much as we possibly can and get some of these things. We certainly don't want to leave an open-ended time frame, so we want time certain, so not to exceed a certain number of days. But yes, development deals go out typically longer than conventional transactions. Any other comments on anything at all that we've discussed today?
Hey, Terry, it's Greg. Can I just make one more comment?
Sure, of course.
Thank you. I have been amazed at the amount of demand there is in my marketplace for leadership and mentorship. There are a lot of people that are wanting to break into the business or that are in the business but don't have a lot of experience, that are just clamoring and looking for not just a safe place to go to talk about the industry or the market or their job, or maybe they've got a colleague that they're having a hard time with or a client that they don't know how to handle. But these folks bring with them an incredible amount of technological experience where I learn. It's like they're coming to me for the mentorship and I'm the one that's walking away with the lesson. It's fantastic. So if you're older and you've got your pen, don't discount the youth. And if you're the youth, don't discount the ones with the pen and the older folks as being either too stodgy or not approachable or not willing or unable to help. You know, we're really in a team effort here with this business and this industry. And since I started that one group, I was amazed at the amount of dots connected where these young folks are bringing a lot to the table, more than you would think at first blush. So don't discount it. I would recommend people doing a deep dive and getting involved with the younger folks as much and as often as you can.
Thank you, Greg. And one more question, and it's a great question. I'd love to hear some feedback from all of you or any of you. Are you seeing more cash deals or more loan deals since COVID? Anyone want to tackle that?
I'm seeing a ton more debt deals, but that's because where I'm at. I'm with a private family office that specializes in exclusively providing debt to the commercial real estate space from $2 million and above. And a lot of banks have put their pencils down. A lot of life insurance companies are out. If there's an apartment deal that's out there, 99 times out of 100, it's going to go to an agency execution, Fannie, Freddie, HUD. I know the SBA lenders are still pretty active, but if you've got a general vanilla deal that is either suitable for a bank or for CMBS and it's office, industrial, retail, or mixed use, there's not a lot of capital out there. And if you find it, you're going to see higher pricing, higher debt yields, higher debt service coverage ratios, and a lot lower leverage. But for private sources that are still looking for yield, they're out there. You just have to know where to look.
Thanks, Greg. Once again, anyone else?
I'll speak to that as far as it's, I would say, not changed in the split between loans versus cash pre-COVID. If you're an owner user and you're needing space, especially the regional banks have been, and I think with the PPP loans and others, the regional banks were the go-to for getting things done, and that continues to be for the loan. So if you're qualified, you're going to be able to get debt both on the investment sales. Again, that's probably with the exception of retail and hospitality. But again, the space that I'm in, office, industrial, and a lot of owner-user, single user buildings, it remains, I would say, unchanged compared to pre-COVID for Jacksonville.
Thank you, Jake. Anyone else want to comment on loans versus cash? I'd like to say that what we're seeing is a tightening in the credit markets, and particularly with regard to qualifications. Loan to value is one thing, so we're not seeing as high a loan to value ratio as we had seen in the past, and also debt service coverage ratio. So they want to see more skin in the game, basically, the lenders that are out there and active in commercial lending. For my firm, and even with all of the development that we do, most of it, and particularly on the land side, is all cash. It doesn't turn into a loan until permits are in place and vertical construction starts. So we're still seeing a lot of cash transaction, but that was true pre-COVID.
Yeah, I haven't seen any difference at all. I talked to another agent last week that told me he had an issue with financing for his client who was purchasing a building, trying to do an SBA loan, and his client had been bound by 54 banks. I'm like, who are you communicating with? So I gave him 3 more banks to get a hold of. So hopefully he was able to get his financing, but that's the only story I've heard. Other than that, I've talked to, a number of the Berkshire Hathaway agents. Super busy. I mean, people are having their best year, even, amongst all of this. So,
of course, if we're listening to Casey Conway, we know that there's a lot of distress in the markets, and particularly CMBS. And if you look at the TREP reports, you see how many, and certain industries, and Jake mentioned hospitality, but that 21% of hospitality now in special servicing. That's a very high number, probably the highest it's ever been historically. So there's distress there that we're probably going to see, maybe a year away, maybe longer. I think that some banks are forestalling foreclosures and that type of thing. But hopefully we get to the end of this pandemic and a recovery more quickly, and we're able to bounce back from some of those things. But the great story I hear today is that all of you are enjoying enormous success during the pandemic, and I think that that's just a great inspirational story. I love hearing that. I wish you all luck. I thank you all for being here today. I thank all our participants. And we've gone on about an hour, and unless there's any final comments, I'll open it up to a final comment. Maybe it's a good time to say goodbye.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate being part of it.
Hey, gang.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all, district leaders. I've really enjoyed being here with you today, and I hope we're able to do this again. This was a great session. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Be well, everyone.
Have a great day. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Keith.